is. Next up.
How was the morning? Was it rough?
We just covered a lot. Covered a lot pretty quick. I had to be on time. So what section are we on, Pedro?
Secondary?
Yes. Called it. Where does the secondary tank get its air from?
Primary?
Glad I asked that question.
Supply?
There you go. That's better. What does the secondary air tank have up between supply and its own tank?
A check valve?
Another check valve, right? A little redundant, but why do we have that?
So it doesn't lose air pressure? We have one good break?
Yeah, catastrophic failure of supply tank or primary. We'll keep the secondary. Secondary air tank is responsible for what braking systems?
The rear?
Yeah, we're talking about this. Yeah. So here's the thing. I always be confused on what primary and secondary the color coding because I'm dyslexic. So I've always remembered in my head that red is on the head of the truck. Red is secondary. Secondary controls the front brakes. A little counterintuitive, right? You would think secondary is in the back. No, it's in the front. Remember what I said earlier, primary is the most important set of brakes, also the most simple. That's in the back of the tractor. That's what stops the load of the trailer. Now, of course, you get the trailer off, which is not really designed to, you don't really bobtail a truck efficiently. So they don't have as good a stopping power. Put a trailer on it, has all kind of traction for those rear brakes, bite. Anyway, secondary is your rear, or is your front. So, let's draw it out. Tell me all the things that are on a secondary air system braking wise.
The relay and PMV valves.
Good so far.
Brake chambers.
Yeah. Brake chambers.
And the treadle valve.
Pretty much, in a nutshell. Again, seems pretty simple, right? A couple notable differences here, but we're going to talk about that. So the things you already know, the things we've already covered. Secondary air comes out of the treadle valve. Treadle valve controls the relay. Go with it so far? Yeah? Okay. Relay. Big old fat airline again. Over to that relay. Same thing as a primary, same idea. Want that volume to the relay so it can activate our brake chambers better. Now, notable differences. Are we ever going to have a 30-30 on the steer axle?
No.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Probably never will, unless you got a real special application, but don't really do that. So you're only going to have a 30 up there, so the service brake only. They have a small return spring, you can see one in there, the small return spring. They don't have a parking spring, so yeah, they can still bite you, jump up and bite you, but they're not going to, knock your face off. Patrick. I wish he was in here. So, we know that air comes out of the relay. Draw it right. Through the PMV and down to the brake chamber. Notable difference there. Where are the PMVs located on the steer axle?
It could be outside the frame, right behind the wheel, or under the front cross member, or they could be in the frame, right behind the wheel.
They could be anywhere up there, yeah. Multiple chassis, multiple configurations. They're not mounted on a relay valve, right? Fair to say. That's why I kind of drew them separately, right? So you get that. Where's the relay valve at? What about you, Tom? You know?
What's the question?
Where's the front or secondary relay valve?
Front or secondary relay valve. For the steer axle?
For a steer axle.
It should be on the fucking cross member right above the fucking axle.
Well, I believe it's on the cross member, but it's not right above the axle.
Well, in that fucking vicinity.
It's not actually at the front of the truck at all.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Is it the one under the cab, right
It is.
behind the transmission?
yeah. It's one under the cab. Usually if it's a day cab, it's right behind the cab on that back cross member. Sleeper cab, who knows? It's gonna be like tucked in there. But yes, you were right. Also, the relay valve, even though it's back there, it also controls what else? In addition to the steer axle brakes.
Is that a T?
Yeah,
Or TPV? Traction protection valve?
yeah. What's that?
Peanut, no, man. Fucking items.
Gotta go. Where we living?
What say a spring valve?
What the hell if I did this?
Fucking A, this your trailer on.
Oh shit! I couldn't tell. It's so horrible.
Fucking big town fucking squibbly should have told you that, bro.
So here's where color coding will screw you up. Red secondary front tractor or front end trailer, steer axle trailer. It's all color coded red. So you get to here because it comes out as blue. Make it make sense. You just can't. To further compound it, you also have a red airline on there, but it doesn't go to that red airline. Things that make me go, can't take it. Get on the same page. So what you need to know is that the relay valve will run through that tractor protection valve when it's activated and all that good stuff, and send its air, delivery air, out of that blue glide ham. So you gotta push in that red knob and then it'll be activated to run back there. It's always doing it. The other thing to note as well, there is also another PMV just for that trailer. Again, we talked about PMVs, what they are, I'm not gonna break off into that. So that all makes sense. So far so good?
Yep.
Okay. Well now we're gonna take this. This is our braking circuit of our secondary. But Pedro, you might ask, what else is on our secondary?
Suspension?
Yes? What else? I'm gonna talk about suspension and leveling valve. Start down here because there's a lot. Literally, name anything we haven't said before. Any of it that has air going to it. Go.
Accessories?
Okay, I need things, not what kind of accessories, what specifically?
Driver seat?
Driver seat, okay. Yeah, we got seats.
Cab suspension?
Yes. Good one. What else? Name anything with air on it.
That's all I got.
I'll help you out. Okay. We got a fan clutch. we have an AHI module. Air horn. Diff logs. There's a bunch. We could literally keep on naming shit all day. What do all these things have in common though? The reason I'm here. What's the one component we have not named yet? The air suspension.
Mm-hmm.
If it's down, it doesn't come up until when?
Like 80 psi.
Okay. If the seat is down, you don't get air in your seat until when?
Like 70.
Okay. Your air horn doesn't work until when?
70.
Your AHI module doesn't receive air until when? Your fan clutch doesn't turn off until when? Your diff locks won't work until when?
It's
You
all.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why is that important?
To make sure our more important systems are working before
Right.
we get all that.
These are low priority. These are, if these systems goes out, it's not gonna stop the truck from driving. It's not gonna make the truck immovable. It won't make the truck where it can't stop. These are relatively not important. So how do we protect the truck from all of these? Like, let's say the airline on the AHI module blew off and it's just going. What stops us from draining all of our air out of that airline? Down to zero. Like stop truck heat off.
Safety valve.
Yeah, there you go. Safety manifold.
I was thinking of that too.
Safety manifold is coming off the supply tank, the secondary tank. Get my worst excuse today. It's been a long day. Secondary air tank powers the safety manifold. That safety manifold will pop up generally around 90 psi is what I've been finding. It'll turn on. So you have no air, your air is building at 90 psi, all of a sudden, secondary air is a lot of power of these things. Now the way back down, if we're losing air, typically it's around 60 psi on the way down. So if we have air and everything's powered and we get an air leak in our supply, or our accessory, we're coming down 60 psi, we're gonna shut off that air supply, we're gonna break the connection between secondary air system and all these things. Pretty simple, right? Basically, if you just draw spaghetti noodles around everything, you get your schematic. That's how it is. It goes everywhere. That's why there's so many little ports hanging off. Looks like a butterfly. One more thing we need to talk about while we're here. What about our transmission? How does our transmission get its air?
Through the transmission air tank.
Where does the transmission air tank get its air?
From the secondary air tank.
Sir, you're starting to see a pattern, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is off the secondary air tank. Everything. Except for the rear brakes. It's the only thing that's on the primary. You know why that is? You know the thought behind that? It all goes back to my previous statement. The rear brakes are the most important. We don't want to run any of this junk on the rear brakes. Because if they break or go to leaking or have a problem, we don't want to drain our primary air system. The reason it's called primary is because it's most important. Our rear brakes are most important. We want those to work all the time. We can survive without front brakes. That may gives some control issues when stopping, sure, but it's still gonna stop. On the other hand, if we lose our rear brakes and we try to stop with just steer axle, we're not going to stop, we're going through something. So I'd rather be a little shaky trying to stop than going through a brick wall, or somebody else, or a car. Or, yeah, you get it. Anyway, then you gotta know about transmission air tank, which is actually the auxiliary air tank. That it actually feeds the trans. Duh. But there's something special that happens between the secondary air tank and the auxiliary air tank. One more component there. You know what it is?
The little valve.
That little tiny valve, yeah. What's that little tiny valve?
One-way valve?
It's not a one-way valve. See, that's the thing. Everybody thinks that's a one-way valve, and it is actually not.
You know, is that pressure valve? Because
It is a pressure valve source. Yeah, you can close it.
I know when it gets to 90 psi, it starts to air up.
Okay. I want you to say that again, but slower.
It gets to 90 psi, it starts to air up.
So what would that valve be called then?
Regulator?
It doesn't regulate anything by definition. The regulator is to keep the output the same, no matter what, whether input goes up or down. It doesn't do that. We said it before, we were just there. What was that big butterfly thing in the middle? Safety valve. Safety valve. Again, same principle, same idea. This auxiliary air tank though was an afterthought after they designed the system to run a safety valve. That safety valve does not have the delivery power to support all those things and this air tank. So, what they did, certain chassis, what I showed, install this air tank, they put that safety valve on there, and that's just so when the secondary air tank is built up to a certain PSI, it starts to let into the auxiliary air tank. That's why you get a transmission low warning until it fills up. Does that make sense? Sounds like a harmonica. You heard that one? Especially on Max, going meow, makes a racket. So, know that's there. Know also, it is directional. If you install that joker backwards, guess what? You ain't getting no air. Sorry, Charlie. Seen that happen a time or two.
No harmonica.
Any questions about this? Okay. So, we have named quite a few air circuits here. There's one more we haven't talked about. A full air system. You might get something out of this, because I haven't touched on this in the uptime meetings. It's something new. What's our last air system? Any idea? Yeah, no, maybe so. Let me help you out. I'm drawing this diagram, and it's the same diagram you're going to see in your schematics, just so you're aware. I think theirs is going to be drawn a little bit better than mine, but same thing. They might know what that represents.
Signal?
We'll talk through it. What do you see here on this one? What is that?
Check ball for secondary?
Check ball, secondary. What do you see for that?
Check ball for primary?
Right. Which way are they facing? Which way is that air allowed to move?
Inward?
Inward. Right. So that air is allowed to move inward. We come out that purple line, right? I'm only drawing purple because I'm out of colors. It's not actually purple.
Well, what color is it, boss?
It's actually no color.
It's black.
It's a clear fucking hose.
There's no hose on this system. And it's crazy.
The air is fucking going by Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's built
What?
into every component that is part of this system. So we're gonna be naming a lot of components, not really air hoses. bear with me, purple is my color I chose. For representation. So let's say for instance, I have an air nozzle, a blow boy, right?
Mhm.
And we connect it to that purple air line, and I'm just, let's say over here, we have 100 PSI. Over here, we have 60 PSI. I'm out here, and I'm just going, am I blowing out of my air nozzle red air or green air?
Red.
Why?
It's more pressure.
Right, it's more pressure. So obviously, this one's gonna win and force that check ball open and take the path of least resistance. Meanwhile, this 100 pressure on the back of that check ball is getting fought with 60 PSI. He loses. It says, no, you can't come in. A red goes out. This is in fact a part of our circuit, part of our system. Do you know what it's called yet? Have you tipped into it yet?
It's a hydrostatic hemophiliatic air system.
Let me put this in a more realistic context to what you see on a truck. Your air pressure on your truck is 100 PSI on primary and 60 PSI on secondary. You're watching the air gauges as you push in the part brake knob. What happens to your air gauges?
They go down? Or am
Have
I-
you ever watched? Have you ever paid attention? Or cared to know? Fair. Most people don't.
Well, when you push your knob in?
When you push the yellow knob in, one's 100 and one's 60.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna find that the one that is 100 goes down. The one that's 60 stays the same until
Well, they
they're
equalize.
equal. Because of that. That puts it in a more real world for you, right? So then that means
You know, like on other brands, the primary will fill up first, but your secondary sitting at about what, 30, 40 fucking PSI. Until your primary fills all the way up. That secondary won't do shit. You're like, fuck, it ain't building there. What's that,
I don't
boss?
have yellow, so
Use purple.
horrible at drawing. I never claimed to be an artist. That's why I have this job in this industry. I'm not a painter. This is yellow handle up top, red handle on bottom. You know, it's your park brake, trailer, whatever you want to call it. Up top, I drew it in there, just a purple box. Anywhere I draw that purple box is gonna be that double check valve again. Make sense? Now, we might get a little confusing.
I'm gonna go look for that in my schematics.
You can, in there.
You gonna go with me, Gessican?
Gessican?
Mm-hmm. You've heard of the Corsicans?
No.
The Gypsy Corsicans? Well, this is the Mexican tribe, the fucking Gessicans. Peanut answers all his questions in the form of a question. Yeah, it's a question.
This kind of ringing a bell, making sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what we call our dual air circuit. Again, there is no tubing from our double check valve to our component, because the double check valve is built into the component. Every time. The only notable exception of that is the track protection valve signal line back up to the brakes. Not really worried about that right now. So you will find some somewhere, but for the sake of argument, it's in the component. Easier to understand that way. What else is on our dual circuit? What else can we see act as whatever one's higher I'm gonna use?
Fifth wheel lock?
What?
Fifth wheel lock?
Fifth wheel lock. That comes off our secondary only. That's our accessory. remember? Same thing as dip lock.
What was your question?
What else utilizes dual air circuit?
What? Ted Fisher vagina.
Hmm?
Pretty good, I like that.
Ted Fisher vagina? That what you said?
Tractor protection valve. I'm not gonna draw the glad hands because y'all fucking make fun of me and my feelings got hurt.
Good.
Do it. These are your main items that spring to my mind when I say dual air circuit. These are your big boys. There are others, there are different things that run on dual air circuits, and you know, that's okay. You don't necessarily need to know about those. You do need to know about these are your big boys. So again, was that a question?
No, I was just wanting to fly.
I was like, hey. When you're pushing that red knob, we're sending air to the trailer through which glad hand?
Blue. No?
Nope.
Damn. Red.
Red, yeah, you gotta take a picture shot. So our red is our emergency. That's the one that fills up the trailer, gives it supply. The blue is our service brake signal. So again, the tractor protection valve controls the blue, also controls the red. When we push in this red knob, this knob actually takes air out of either one, sends a signal down to the TPV, tractor protection valve, which will take air out of either one again and fill through that red hose. So the primary is higher, it's taken down first until they're equal, and they'll both go down at the same time. Secondary is higher, and it'll take down first until they're equal, go down at the same time. Make sense? Really, all you gotta know about dual air circuits. There is more to it. If you'd like to know more to it, we can get there, but I'm just trying to keep the top going. The last thing I want to talk about, we got a little bit of time here, some more diagnostic related. So, you got a customer, his complaint is air dryer is purging a lot.
Get out of my fucking picture.
Air dryer is purging a lot. Help.
Leak on the primary.
Well, first of all, what questions would you ask to try to get closer? Because your product knowledge is going to get you to a point where you don't have to check that leak on the primary, that fitting over there on the air dryer. You don't have to run around this truck, you just dive into it head first. If you ask the right questions, you're going to eliminate about 75% of your workload by just knowing what they're talking about. So, what question would you ask? If I was a driver and I came up to you and said, my air dryer is purging a lot, help me.
How much pressure is it building?
About 135. What about you?
How about how often is it popping off? Huh? How often is it on?
About every 10 seconds.
You got a primary.
I don't hear any leaks. Oh, another funny thing, my gauges aren't even moving.
Oh fuck! Change the governor.
Just had that put on yesterday.
It's broke. Get another one.
That's my third one.
Yeah, it's gonna be the fourth one. Trust me.
I don't.
Trust me.
I just don't.
They
Take my shit somewhere else.
They've been coming out of the fucking box all busted up.
Look at you busting. So what did you think, Pedro? Really, all the information you should need to know on where to go. What I want you to do is think about Which system am I going after?
I'm gonna go up after that little fucking line at the bottom of the air compressor that controls the fucking fan, bro.
Primary?
Maybe why?
No, you
Because Tom
know.
said it?
No, supply.
Supply. Okay, why?
Because that's part of that system.
Part of what system?
The supply
Really?
system.
It was part of that system.
Hold on, I want to answer to this. That's part of that system. What system, fucker?
Wow. So it's part of that system,
You're
right?
awesome, Peanut.
Why'd you say supply?
Don't say because it's part of that system. I'm gonna come over that fucking table.
What part of that driver interview made you think it was supply service?
Because we know the air dryer purges, and that's what we mostly hear is the air dryer purging.
Okay. Yeah, but you know, to Tom's point, if we had a leak on the primary and it was just gushing air out of it, we would be doing that a lot as well.
Yeah, it would cycle about every 10 seconds with a leak on the primary.
If we had a really large air leak.
Not really a really large one. It just, you know, it has to be fucking steady. Right there.
Okay, so I'll go back to what made you think supply? Gotta be something.
The purge tank?
What?
The purge tank?
Okay.
That's why you're thinking supply? You said supply, right?
What part of the driver's answers made you think supply?
Every 10
Sure.
seconds. The gauges aren't doing nothing.
That one.
Gauges aren't doing this?
Right. Is there a gauge on the display for supply pressure?
No.
No. Again, primary and secondary have what? They have check valves, check valves, going backwards. So if the supply was doing this, would the primary and secondary even see it? Nope. Would the gauges move? Nope. Would the governor go in and out and the compressor purge a lot? Yes. Another one for you. You might like this one.
We'll pick you up on the way home.
Driver comes in and says, man, I don't know what's going on, but my trailer brakes and my steer axle brakes are red hot. What questions would you ask?
Where did you go get a brake job at?
I didn't.
I'm a lot of questions.
I don't know about that one.
You don't know what you would ask them? What would you ask me? If you called me out there to help you, what would your question be? I'd just be saying there like, what do you want, Pedro?
Cause you know he ain't gonna fucking answer you.
Till
He's
ask the
gonna
question.
lead you to the fucking answer
Uh-huh.
to your own question. Now what the fuck? Because it's a part of that system.
Part of the
That's why everybody's smoking and red hot, because it's part of that system.
question you might ask is, when did this start? How did this happen? Where were you when this happened? That might be a good one. Just get some context behind it. Man, I was just at TA. They found an air leak under the truck. They fixed it, but now my brakes are dragging. Okay? Where at on the truck? About midway back under the cab. Time out. So you ask the right question, you get the right answer, you know exactly where to go. Remember that. Move forward, it's going to be important.
So do you know where that was at?
The traction protection valve?
It's part of that system, huh? Huh.
In that fucking, that bundle of fucking air hoses that is wrapped in that plastic right by the air horn? That's what it's talking about, eh?
Not really.
Midway?
Driver just said under the cab midway somewhere.
He lies about
And he
it.
said his
Midway.
steer axle and trailer brakes are dragging. That should be like Red flag.
Red flag.
The relay valve
Which relay valve?
for the steer axle.
What is the steer axle air supply by?
The secondary.
Yeah. Why? Because it's the only link between the steer axle brakes and the trailer brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else makes sense. So from having the knowledge and asking the right questions, getting the right details, you've now gone from checking over the whole truck and trailer for anything to this one component. Turns out they swapped the airline. Found it, 5-minute fix. Instead of 12 hours of diag and not getting anywhere. Up front is important. Your questions, your answers, all that. Very important.
And did the driver fucking, you know.
The driver knows what the fuck he's talking about at least halfway.
Right. But I did glass.
And they actually write it down. But you know. That's what I got.
Oh, that's harsh, bro. Fuck.
I know, you almost took a nap in here. That must be rough.
Man.
Sitting here in this AC.